do cap out at 18 credits over the course of their high school career. So they can use options out for up to 18 credits, but then they're capped. So they have the flexibility, but there's limitations.
Is there any other limitations on course options?
They can go to any institution that offers coursework we don't offer. The curriculum has to be 80% different than something we do offer.
Yeah, are you asking youth options or course?
Options. Oh, course options?
Mm-hmm.
Course options is a program for students who can take coursework in any institutions even though we offer it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But is there any difference as far as financial or anything else? We just pick up the bill, or I thought they changed something on it.
Youth options, we have to cover 100% of the agreed to tuition. Course options, what changed not last summer but the summer before was that the institutions of higher ed can now charge students and their families the remainder beyond that agreed upon amount. And some schools are doing that. Some schools are charging only half of the tuition. There's not a uniform answer to what the student responsibility is.
And that's only in higher ed? What if they decide to take the Spanish teacher at New Berlin West better, so they take it over there? Is there any financial change on that?
So if our student goes to New Berlin, we pay New Berlin for that FTE for that student.
That's it, okay. Sure.
The spring options are quite a bit smaller. Is that not a complete list yet? Or is it still an open window for applying for youth options for spring?
For youth options, nope, a total of 58 credits were desired. And then page 2 is the alternative options of 25. So should any of those institutions of higher ed say we don't have room in this course, they won't accept the request, but they might put them into their secondary options, so their alternates.
And when is this? When was the cutoff for youth options, or is it not?
October 1st.
Okay.
For the entire year?
For the second semester.
Next semester.
Mm-hmm.
When is there one for course options?
It's very loose. So what the criteria says is that we have to have 1 week's notice. But we have had less than that and had to allow students in.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to item 7B, special education bus purchase.
Motion to approve the purchase of a wheelchair-accessible multi-passenger vehicle at an estimated cost of $50,000 to be funded from the federal flow-through special education grant.
So moved.
Second. Discussion?
Carrie, you have some additional information you'd like to share with the board?
I do. So last time I was here, I can't recall who asked, but one of the board members inquired about the possibility of, if in the future, because we haven't budgeted for it now, but if in the future we want to purchase a vehicle and share the cost between the special education funds and the regular education funds. I was not able to communicate with Rachel Zelmer. She's the person who really specializes in answering questions like that at the Department of Public Instruction. However, just my preliminary research on the Department of Public Instruction's webpage, it would appear that if we're using federal funding to purchase a vehicle for students with special needs to use, we wouldn't be able to share that vehicle with the general education population unless a student with an IEP was being transported in that vehicle. The caveat to that being we have a lot of students with IEPs who are participating on our sporting teams. So if there was a student with an IEP utilizing that vehicle for transportation, that would be an allowable usage.
Any other questions?
So the flow-through grant, that would cover the entire cost of the vehicle?
Correct, yes.
Even if up to $50,000, or will it cover whatever, if it goes to 55?
It would cover all of it,
Okay.
yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
If it's not used, if the grant's not used for this, can it be used for anything else?
Sure, it can be used for any kind of special education specific costs within the district. We anticipated that we would need to be retiring our special education vans relatively soon. Steve Brick at the high school has been phenomenal, about assisting us with maintenance and repair on the vehicles at a reasonable cost, but the repair costs are getting more and more significant, and we're anticipating the transmission going on 2 of the vehicles, which is very expensive and costly, and so we thought we need to start forecasting for the future and set aside some funding for that.
What do we do with the old vehicles?
The old vehicles can be utilized within the district by buildings and grounds and things of that nature. In transporting students long distances, we wouldn't want them to get somewhere and get stranded. However, if it's just going between buildings within the district, for our staff to utilize for carrier services or going to pick up mulch or something of that nature.
So the plan is to keep them?
Correct,
Okay.
yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to 7C, gifts, grants, and donations.
Motion to approve acceptance of the following gifts. Bay Lane Middle School Project Guide Classroom, $150. Lake Danoon Middle School Project Guide Classroom, $150 from Mike Falk, Crossroads Pizzas in Franklin. Muskego High School Girls Volleyball, $1,510 from Muskego Diggs Volleyball. Muskego Girls and Boys Tennis, $680 from City of Muskego. Muskego High School Football, $3,070.02 for knee braces. Muskego High School Football, $3,993.94 for jerseys from Muskego High School Football Boosters. Muskego High School Bands, $500 from the Muskego Community Festival. And Muskego High School Girls Tennis, $60 from Jean and Charlotte Tavoyak.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Accepted unanimously. Moving on to discussion items. Item 8A, 2016-17 budget, third Friday and preliminary annual meeting information.
So there's 2 items there. The first item is just a report out on our third Friday pupil count. We were anticipating a flat enrollment this year based on our preliminary enrollment projections, and for whatever reason in August we had like a mass influx, which led us to an increase of 51 students this year. So that's actually good news for us. The way that it impacts our budget projections is that our FTE counts will obviously go up, and the result of that is an increase in the revenue limit of approximately $220,000. It's not a bad problem to have, but that does change the tax levy impact. We are still able to have a decrease in our tax levy and set aside about $500,000 for the defeasance as we had talked about, but it does change. We originally thought it was $625,000, but it'll be about $500,000 for the defeasance. So it will have a small impact there, and we'll bring that information to the board at the annual meeting. Our summer school count also went up from 102 FTEs to 122 FTEs. So again, continuing to grow the summer school program does help us in future years, not only with the revenue limit, but also with state aid and helping to keep taxes down. The second item is just a draft of the annual meeting booklet. We always bring this forward for your review. If you have any questions or suggestions, even if it's not tonight, just feel free to let me know. I'll probably be sending it out to print by the end of this week so that it's ready for the annual meeting itself.
What do you think? And I'll ask mine. How does the increase in student enrollment affect the state aid for us?
That's a great question. So it will impact us next year for state aid purposes, and I'd actually have to run that calculation for you.
but you figure it's about $10,000 a student on average for state aid purposes. So it will help us with state aid. It'll increase our state aid, which will help us drop our tax levy, but because we don't know what the biennial budget looks like yet, we don't know at what level the state aid's going to come in at.
But it'll help.
It'll definitely help. It'll help with keeping the tax levy low again.
How easily were we able to absorb these 51 students into current classrooms? Do we have to go out and hire another couple teachers for that, or?
It's across, the whole system.
It's a pretty broad spectrum.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good. That we like when that happens.
Right.
Any other questions? So, what do you need from us, anything, or just?
No,
information
just
only?
if you had, this is just information, if you have any suggestions for the annual meeting booklet, just let me know by the end of the week. But it's really standard, what we usually put out, so. The only thing that will be a little bit different is we show the debt schedule for Lake Newton High School. We'll just be adding the new debt to that information, so.
Okay. All right. Moving on, MPC update.
So this is just an update for you. Building advisory teams continue to meet. Actually, they'll be meeting through November, and then we should have a pretty solid plan by the end of November. And you can keep track of the progress and notes and the building designs through that link under administrative contents. Feel free to take a peek at that, and if you have questions about anything, feel free to give me a call. We did have between about 15 to 30 parents at each of our September attendance boundary lines, so it was better attendance than in any other forums we've ever had. Which isn't a surprise, because certainly as you all know, it is an emotional situation for many parents. It's either, do we split our families for a year or two, or do we split, the concern with splitting our friends and things like that. So we did show them the two options that we showed the board about a month and a half ago, and, received their input. We're working right now with Applied Population Lab. We did come to know that some of the boundary lines, because of some of the increases in enrollment and where we know the building is happening, we are going to need to kind of create an option between option 1 and 2. It will not be option 1 or option 2, and I know some of you have received some emails requesting option 1 or option 2. It will be a mix, and we did let parents know that was going to be a potential. So when you see it, and we're hoping that we'll have a plan for you to look at and consider on October 24th, and then still have a November day for action. So, any questions about that?
So this plan probably will not see the light of day outside of the district offices here till the 24th?
Right.
Okay, so because we've had a lot of inquiries, so I will.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anybody
And
wants,
it
I
will
will
only
select them.
be, what we're doing now is really just, it's a road or two or a subdivision or something like that. So we are.
But there was quite a bit of difference between 1 and 2.
1 and
but-
2, right.
Yeah, so is it
Yeah.
closer towards 1?
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. We're still working with Applied Pop Lab, and we really just want to make the best decision to bring forward to the board, given the information we've acquired from the feedback that we received from the parents also.
Well, and the differences were pretty well clearly defined. This one will affect the students this way. This one will affect them this way.
Absolutely. And then we also did have an opportunity to share in our Listen and Learns with all staff members in the district regarding, where we're at with building projects, and we added things such as our Baldridge and site visit and things like that as well, but keeping the staff abreast of our progress as well. That's it.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item 8C, District Provisioned Fiber Optic Network. Mr. Spence, I believe that's you.
Yes. I have Ryan Bosak, our systems administrator. Ryan was here before the last time we presented on our data center, so. Hey, Ryan.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
So, how would I put this? Last time we presented to the board, we had a pretty robust presentation. We included the same slides in this presentation, just as a matter of reference. Obviously, we won't be going through all of those unless there's questions about it. We've added about 4 additional slides to address what I consider to be very quality questions about what were some of the greater needs, what is our long-term plan, what were some of the impacts, maybe some of the risks that are associated with this process, what does it solve? And so that is what we're here to talk about. Now, there's a couple ways to go about this. To be sensitive to the time of the board, and noting this is a discussion item, not necessarily an action item, I wanted to maybe bring attention to our second to last slide, which would say alternative funding option. And that would be at the top of the presentation that is in your document. And the reason I want to get there first is, again, I think some of the questions that might have risen out of this conversation, if you're talking about fund balance dollars and what will be used from fund balance to pay for this, we have many other projects on the docket. And that becomes a challenge of what will maybe have to come off of anything. What is this competing against? So the reason I have this listed as alternative funding option, this is not something that was brought to the board at the original conversation. So the first piece that I have on alternative funding option is that the required funding for this has a general range. And that range is between about $800,000 and $1.7 million. So we have a best case scenario and we have a worst case scenario. The best case scenario of $800,000 is if we were to have the We Energies Trail use that is offered basically as we head down to North Cape. And also we would receive 40% subsidy from E-rate. That is, again, a federal E-rate subsidy that can be applied to this project and others like it. And so if we did that, our out-of-pocket cost for the district would be roughly $800,000. Now, these are all based on estimates, but I would say they're pretty close. If we did that, we would see a lease that you see at the bottom, which is an alternative funding option. Over 5 years, we talked with one of the companies that we've done leasing with in the past. And so we've done what would be our third lease with them for other equipment. And in the past, they actually have worked with school districts to lease their own fiber optic network back to them, essentially. And so we'd be replicating that if we were to ever consider this process. On the other end is the $1.7 million range. That is if we are not able to get any We Energies access in terms of the trail, and we receive no E-rate subsidy. So that is our worst case scenario, the most expensive cost within this project. And you see there, of course, the lease is considerably more, but also reflective of the size of the project. So what I'm offering here are 2 opportunities to look at. If we were to look at a 5-year lease on $800,000, a best case scenario, but a very likely one, we'd be looking at the same cost that we pay to lease this from our current fiber optic network provider. So it's $170,000 versus $168,765. I'm not going to try to do all the exact math, but they're close enough that our payments to the district would be the same. We can relinquish ourselves and not be on an infinite loop of access. And of course, I'm not going to say that at some point we're not going to have to replace the network, because certainly there will be an end of life for that. What we know now is it's enough years down the road that it's not an immediate need, and some of our longest networks have been told to last roughly 40 years. So be that as it may, in a best case scenario, we'd be looking at roughly a trade-off. A trade-off for the same cost that we pay now for our lease that we would for leasing our own fiber optic network that after 5 years we would own at this scenario. We can lease for longer terms. We can lease for shorter terms, of course. This was just to balance out. We talked about roughly a 5.5-year return on investment, an ROI, if we were to try to finance this ourselves through our own fund balance choice. But in this case, we wouldn't have to dip into fund balance, and we could lease out our own network. So that is the initial round. We have way more information to share, but I'm wondering if the board has any thoughts or questions just about that as a funding option.
When you say lease out our own,
Yeah.
I guess I'm confused about
We would
that.
get a lease to pay for our own network, and then
Okay.
instead of making payments to our current vendor, we'd basically be making payments to the leasing company that we would own then at zero equity. So
Has an option been thought about where instead of, for simple terms, if we go and do this ourselves, instead of running 1 line, we run 5 lines?
Yep.
And then we are the leaser if somebody comes up and says, hey, can we lease it from you?
Yes, great question. We have looked at, because the cost really isn't in the fiber optic cabling itself, there's minimal cost comparatively. It's really in burying. So once we have a large enough conduit, we'd be able to put enough strands in there to be forward-thinking and allow others to connect for partnership, for other purposes. Example would be like the city as an example. If and when they're ready to connect to that, we're looking to connect to the ends, which would be school districts of New Berlin, school district of Franklin, and be able to have a loop that connects and be redundant. So in other words, they wouldn't just be connecting to our type of internet resource, but to a much larger network of dark fiber. So. So again, I can add more detail. One of those would be that we were asked to come up with kind of what is the rationale for even having a network of that capacity within the ground to be able to service the district. I have Ryan here to discuss a little bit of that, so why don't we just go into that detail, and then we'll continue from that point. So at the top you see what's called the centralized data, phone, and security. We touched on this just slightly in our last meeting, but this is going to provide more detail about where we're headed with centralizing the access to these systems within the district. So Ryan, if you want to go ahead and start chatting.
Sure. As it stands right now, we have a server at every school that hosts our domain controller, the file server, local from that school. They're all going to need to be replaced relatively soon. They're all obsolete. But we don't have to do that. We can actually just bring those in, run them out of the central location here, and just have our switches out on the ends. So we could actually get rid of the servers, we can get rid of the phone controllers and the NVR servers and just run them right from here. And then we would run a DR site at the high school. So we would run main servers here, replicate against the high school. If these went down, they would just pick up over there, bring everything in. That's pretty much the overall goal. But the problem is that you need to have pretty heavy speed to do that.
Yeah.
So do you have a draw, that was very, very good. Thank you. Do you have a drawing of that, or like a document that reflects the your plan, or like your current infrastructure, and then where we want to go?
No, not yet, no. I can draw one up.
It'd be kind of nice.
Sure.
I think, and because I think where I'm struggling is not the data you're giving me right now. In fact, I'm not even there yet. Because I still haven't seen a need demonstrated for this. I'm not sure what's triggering this, and I'm not saying you don't know, but I don't. And I'm not seeing a plan yet that says you just gave me a summary that says here's where we want to be, and it's very good. But I guess if you commit that to paper and then
sure.
The servers, the switches, and then the fiber obviously gets brought into that with the optics and what the cost of that will ultimately be. And then generally you want to try to bake all that into a capital. And then if that spend is what you're saying through multiple means offsets an O&M or like absolutely you want to look at that. I'm just not seeing a need yet, like data that shows me why are we doing this. You're putting 70 access points in from what our roundtable discussions are. But I'm not hearing about any complaints other than the access points may fix that, right? Because you're having more people on an access point, so you're going to put more access points in to accommodate the users. But I'm not hearing that people are having an issue getting back, authenticating, going out. That sort of thing. That's really what this.
Right. From a user standpoint, it'll be the same as it is now. This is mainly for the VMware.
Okay.
The actual virtualization has to have a gig across.
Okay, and that would be nice to lay out because that's where I'm struggling trying to understand where that need is.
Right. Yeah. Actually, I just checked yesterday, and the inside interfaces on the hosts are pinging between 300 and 600 megabytes a second on the inside. So we would need that speed on the outside coming in here.
Great, and something like that would be kind of nice because my first thought was, we're having user experience issues, but I'm just not hearing any. Other than maybe they're having a hard time authenticating, they're getting bumped off periodically. But you seem to have a plan to address that, so that's good.
Yep.
So that would kind of help me, I think, going forward, and then I can look at make sure we're hitting all those capital costs, because you're going to want the optics and the components, right? And you're going to want all that stuff
Actually,
built in.
we have all that.
Okay, it would be nice to know then.
Right.
Yeah, so, and then you build that into a plan going forward, so you can do what I think you said here, to take advantage of integrating into other area optical networks, right? I think you said that. I mean, that's some good strategy down the road, right? So that would support that too. I think if I could have that, or just see somebody like that, I think that would really put me in line with what I think you want. Because what I struggle with is this capital spend, because right now I don't think I've heard enough to bump two other major items that we're looking at, or at least I am.
Sure.
So, some thoughts on that, but thank you.
Yeah, and hopefully if we consider the cost of, again, the alternate funding option, hopefully we wouldn't have to bump anything at that point.
And you bear the burden of having to have me on this board. Because
No, it's not
I've done
burden,
this
Chris.
25
Actually,
years, so, but
That's fine.
anything like that would be great, so.
Yeah, well, and again, what I'm hoping is that what we currently pay out of our budget will fund the process itself. So in other words, we wouldn't see an increase in that. I mean, there's always going to be some if our estimates are off, but I'd say we'll call that minimal compared to the overall size of the project. But if all goes well, we'd be basically spending the same amount of money to pay down our own network over a 5-year period of time and not be bumping anything else on the project list.
There's a lot more liability though. Just because we have this network now, it
Yep.
breaks, we have to fix it versus
We have
now
estimates.
it breaks, we call up and say, fix it.
Yeah.
We're paying for this, so.
We actually have estimates for that. I'm glad you brought it up. I'll bring it up that way. We did some estimating, and we looked at the cost of what would be what's called marking and locating. So anytime there's a project that would be done in and around our fiber network, we're the ones responsible for marking and locating. I believe that's a universal. Both terms are universal for that type of process, where you mark the ground so they don't dig into them. And then also, that is $28 for each occurrence. If that happened every third day throughout a year, we'd have approximate costs of $3,400 annually for that type of process. And then also a typical risk for a repair, let's say there is a backhoe that digs into the fiber, to be able to reconnect those joints gets to, and I'm not giving it justice from all the terminology, bear with me, but the typical risk for that is $5,000 per occurrence.
And where's that based on?
That is based on other, we did connect with MC&E from that perspective, but also that is actual costs that have been spent on the types of repairs. Now, that's an average estimate because, of course, anything could be a little more difficult, but from that perspective, that is some actual damages that have occurred and the risks of that being assessed up to that amount. If we're the ones doing the damage, we're the ones that are going to be responsible for the fix. Of course, if other systems are responsible for it, they'll be the ones responsible for the fix, within reason, of course. And then we'd have insurance to cover that as well. So, and then last but not least, if the additional risk includes that if the city, county, and state need to do a relocate, that would be on us as well. And so if we had to do a relocation, I believe that ran in the range of roughly $2,000 as an example for that cost to relocate fiber optic in the ground, to move around a right-of-way for city and county and state.
So we're different than, I guess, We Energies, because like when they widen the road, whoever widens the road pays that We Energies move, relocate.
Right. Yeah, and unfortunately, in this particular case, you would run right, we'd have to get with the city because Durham and Marlin are going to be redone next year. They're going to cul-de-sac it, and they're going to redo Marlin from Janesville to Woods.
What do they call this thing?
Durham and Woods. And so...
On both ends?
Or I'm sorry,
Roundabouting?
Woods. Yeah, so...
Roundabout, okay.
Yeah, or I'm sorry, well, by the cul-de-sac area. So, yeah, the cul-de-sac of Durham and Woods, they're going to put that roundabout by Moreland and Woods there, yeah.
I was going to say, that was quite a change from what I heard.
Yeah, sorry, and then, yeah, we would have to put the bill for that, but that's really out of your control, you don't, you wouldn't even, you'd be reacting to that.
Yeah. Understanding that is, it would also, we would see, even if we added up $3,400 per year as an example for marking and locating, and even, let's call it one occurrence of a damage and one occurrence of a move, we're still looking at about $150,000 savings per year of what we do now once the network is paid off. And actual dollars. So again, if we were to go that route, it's just a funding option that we have. And ideally, it would give us the opportunity to, again, lease ourselves our own fiber network over time.
Julie, if you looked into, does anything change our property insurance by having this network spread throughout the community? I mean, obviously, we mentioned in there that our insurance would cover something, some events. Well, there's usually a cost involved in that, so
We don't have that exact information yet, but it's something that we will obtain from them
Okay, I'm just wondering if it has any kind of astronomical.
because of the location of it all.
So, and excuse the question, but
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in this. So I understand the increasing the speed throughout our own intranet, we'll call it. Does that increase our speed going out to the world as well?
We could. I mean, we pay for a gig of internet currently for the entire district, and so that is capped by that amount.
So isn't that our biggest bottleneck? You need to figure out the phones, everything else, because every one of these devices aren't necessarily going from point A to point B. They're going from here out to the world and back.
Yeah, as an example, most of our phones and devices are tackling, well, phones are just more internal, and then they're using what's called a PRI, which allows them an outside exchange. There's no data going to the internet at that point, as an example. But from a mobile device perspective, and even our, Chromebooks, laptops, desktops, iPads, those all do access the internet and go out. Probably our biggest bottleneck we're probably peaking at about 600 or 60% of our overall internet on a regular basis. So otherwise, our bottleneck isn't actual total internet capacity. It would be our own internal infrastructure.
Okay. And at what percentage, I'm guessing it's not 100, when you start feeling
80%.
80%. Okay, so you're within 20% of where
Yes.
you mean that problem.
And we're able to flip that switch at any point in time and actually teach. And BadgerNet, that's our transit, that's the company that kind of owns the pipeline that restricts some of that. They have a new agreement, so hopefully those costs will go down a little bit and make those transitions a little more affordable, because they don't allow you to take small incremental changes in those. They're usually larger, so half gig to 1 full gig increments, as opposed to, say, 100 or 200 megabytes at a time.
And then I guess my last question I have for today is, have we had this, you've thrown it out there a couple times, but have we had discussions with other municipal, like either the city itself or an adjoining school district or something like that, of partnering to do something like this? Is there any sense in doing that? Or
There is great sense in doing it. Had a conversation with the city. I don't know how much I can divulge. Let's just say they're under contract for a few more years. It's probably the best way to put it for them. Doesn't mean they're not interested or involved in those conversations. Let's definitely move forward. And just last week, Thursday, had a conversation with New Berlin School District in Franklin to discuss their onboards, because they not only are connecting their own internal infrastructure, but also, again, the out. So Franklin and Greendale are connecting to Alverno College, which is nearby to Greendale. And then that connects potentially to us. Where our North Cape location is 3,500 feet from their nearest elementary school. So we'd connect to them, and then the other side we could connect to New Berlin as well, which would also connect us to what's called WeCan. It's the largest local fiber network that we have in the ground is basically Waukesha County. So we're our conversations with the larger group, which allows us to be, think larger and beyond, but then also locally we're having those conversations too. Because we do want to connect to at least Franklin School District to be able to get on board. Otherwise, we're still going to pay to get out to the internet, which I know sounds crazy, but after all that, step one is to get our own buildings connected, and step two is to get out to the nearest connection, which again would probably be Franklin. So.
Just one last thing. So then you have the data then that would suggest from, let's just give Test Corners as an example. So Test Corners goes to where? The ESC or the high school, or where does it?
Goes to here.
Okay. So the connection from Test Corners to here is at what percent? I mean, is it full capacity? Is it being used at 80%, 40%? I mean, that's the type of data that I'd like to see. Because generally speaking, if you got to show some artifact saying, here's why, here's the need, right? Here's the demonstrated need. Not just because, I need to say this, but just because everybody else is doing it. So I'm just trying to get, where is the need? So if you tell me that, hey, we've got a 1 gig connection between here and test corners and it's at 90%, well, then I'm understanding, okay, well, we need to do something here, right? But, so if you could supply that, that would be good, because I assume you have some sort of monitoring tools that you can do all that, right?
Not
Show that?
In that example,
Or,
Test Corner is actually using 100% of it.
Okay.
They're one of the, oddly, they're one of the more.
oh, they're large. I mean,
Yeah, they seem to be pushing a lot of it. Most of them, they average about 60 to 70% of their
Okay.
bandwidth. They all peak out at 100% at the elementary schools because they're only at 100 meg. The middle schools, they're a little bit under 200 on there,
Okay.
so they're probably running about 90%.
Okay.
But you're right, I can totally put that into a doc, so it's easy to read.
It would just be nice. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
You know, what's his next step? Where are we going with this?
Chris asked for some artifacts to come back.
Yeah, I think if we could just have those artifacts and then for a discussion item again.
Can I put it in as an action item?
No, I don't think we're set for action yet.
Okay.
Yeah. I think one more discussion at least and then
Well,
see where we are.
And that's why I have the question, because I don't know, I understand the concept, I think it's good, and I like the funding option here, but, you know, you ask, can I put it as an action item? I don't think I could really vote on this, to be honest with you, because I don't know if it's going to be 800,000 or 1.7 million.
Yeah, our actual next step, Eric, if you don't mind me jumping on that, is
Yep.
we just have to do our engineering. That is basically what we're looking for approval for. So in other words, we're not asking the board to fully approve. What we need to do is have engineering costs set up by, ideally would be MC&E. We have those costs in our document already, looking at roughly 90,000 to do engineering for the entire project. Once we do that, we can put the wheels in motion to get bids back for what the actual totals would be. And so at this point, it was brought as a general item to discuss that, okay, are you even open to the idea? But really, to get more specific costs, we need engineering to work on. So that would be step number one.
Do you need engineering in order to discuss and have an agreement with We Energies?
Yes,
What about the,
E-rates, we
Yeah,
need to do
E-rate.
that as well, because that's a timeline process that we are,
because that's going to, that E-rate's probably going to have the biggest effect
yeah.
on anything.
And in order to do E-rate, we have to have the bids to submit to E-rate so that they would understand that's what we'd be going with for the process.
What would you need to discuss this with We Energies?
Well, I wouldn't do it directly. We would ask for a company to engineer it. In this case, again, our ideal vendor for that would be MC&E to engineer the project and then have discussions with We Energy in turn. Dan, is that an accurate statement?
That is accurate. Some of the details that we would include would be whatever construction corridor is available within their right-of-way. They may have utilities in there, somebody may also be in there. What we have to do is identify where we would be in relation to any of the utilities that are on the ground for them to base their approval on the request.
So even after we'd engineer, we'd have more specific costs. We'd be looking for approval on that once it comes through. So at this point, it's just engineering, number one. But I wanted to make sure that the board understood that at the end in the engineering, we wouldn't have the backups against the wall with potentially pitting items against one another, potentially in a funding, from a fund balance perspective.
So what you're indicating is, so I'm looking at the costs here, so for MC&E engineering, it's approximately $96,000. That would get us engineering of the project. What else?
Permits, I believe. Dan?
Well, no, that's different, that's not part of that. So I'm looking at page number,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure what I'm looking at here.
So what's the headline?
Fiber optic network cost analysis, construction costs. 6?
So what is included with the MC&E engineering?
Well, what I'm asking is are we basically with the MC&E engineering, when that's, so we spend $96,000, and do we get to the point of you bringing a product back to us that has or does not have We Energy's approval, has a firm price because you have your bids, and also has or does not have the rebate, what's the
The
E-rate.
It wouldn't have E-rate immediately. We would only be able to get that after the bids come in, and that is a process that takes at least a few months, 3 to 4.
Okay. So we're going to be at the point of sitting here with understanding E-rate, We Energies, and the engineering to make our decision if we want to go any further
Yes.
with approximately $96,000
No,
in
96 is a
89,
management,
96
89.
management.
Yeah.
It's the top number.
Yeah, it says 96.
No,
No,
top
96
number's
is What
89.
am I looking at?
I did.
Oh, interesting. Mine's different. We'll take the 89. I have 104 for project management.
Yeah, I've got that too.
Non-We Energies trail option on that slide.
Oh,
Is that the-
we're looking at different ones.
Slide,
Okay,
Sorry about that.
let's go to the other one then.
89.
So, we'd have all that together, we'd be sitting here making a decision as to whether we're going to move forward
Yep.
with a $90,000 cost.
Yes.
So I think we're kind of in discovery now, so we need to know if there's even,
If the concept is,
right, so,
Viable.
if they can demonstrate a need, and I guess if Dr. Thompson is fine amending the district's priorities, or at least recommending based on the pool and the athletic fields, and then that's fine too. We'd have to hear a defense on that. Then I guess we take that, and we take that, and we see. I mean, that'd be the only way, because you're right, you're voting on that, whether we go forward with the engineering of that, because if we do, you're almost locked in. If you're going to commit $100,000.
how long is the engineering good for? Is this something that we don't, is it good for 5 years, or is it got to completely be redone? Obviously, some of it's going to change We Energies requirements and everything else, but are we starting, if we do this and find out that, maybe we should wait a little bit,
Yeah.
is it just down the drain, or?
I would imagine there's a limited time frame only because of costs can fluctuate, but Dan, maybe you could speak to that.
Coincidentally, you mentioned 5 years. Typically, municipalities and those with jurisdiction of the right.
Can you go to the microphone, sir? I'm sorry, just because I'm sure we have a huge audience at home watching us right now. They wouldn't hear you.
Typically, municipalities and those having jurisdiction of the right-of-way will have a 5-year plan for use in that right-of-way. And what typical engineering firms will do is they'll take that plan into consideration. So yes, you can have the engineering completed and have that sit for a while with minor changes. It's not a complete redo of the project, even if you do wait 5 years. You may have to take into some more considerations, maybe change a couple routes here and there. But for the most part, once the engineering is complete, it's a matter of taking a more fresh look at it at the time that it would hit the street.
The other quick question I have is, so are you, and I agree, I believe we would agree with that, I would, so if this project was to go forward, hypothetically, do you have experience with phasing, like breaking up into phases over, say, 2-3 years?
Yes.
If that was the case, you'd be okay with that?
Yes, we would. And typically, these projects will be broken out into phases when the pricing comes back. And as you know, you can write whatever terms you'd like into the bidding documents that say, your pricing is good for 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is. But we reserve the right to award certain phases of the project. So if it comes back and you feel that Test Corners is the first one you want to take on, then you build up to Test Corners, and perhaps in the next funding year, you look at building to the other sites. Now, there will be some duplication of effort, some duplication of the bidding process, but in the grand scheme of things, those are small dollar amounts in order to be able to take this across multiple budget cycles.
And then your go-live date probably is for the new school, because they don't, you want to get them up, so that would probably be, if this went through, the date you back everything up. And for
Ideally before then, only because our contract expires with our current lease, and instead of extending a new long-term contract, that would be ideal too.
You can see what the costs are for extending it to, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, you could add that in there, but I would definitely have all that information available before we go to it. That's why I think we have another discussion here, because, I mean, this may work if the need's there, and then if you can phase it in over multiple years and you show that breakdown, it may, and show the, you know, the, what you're trying to do, which was a really nice summary. That on paper, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and I would say too that again, even if our use is increasing or decreasing, we still have a current lease amount that's really expensive to the district. And our goal is, even if we were to stay static for the next 20 years, it's still a liability to our system. And this doesn't only give us the opportunity to extend our speeds and address future need, but it also allows us to no longer have this infinite cost loop to pay out to an outside vendor for leasing their fiber. And I
You
think
can
that's going to be our goal.
identify that as a risk or an impact. I mean, that's
Yeah.
part of the deal in the project, so, right?
Yeah,
So,
right.
as long as, because I'm going to look at the return, right? And
Yeah.
how far out does that extend, and so, but phasing helps. So I'm glad you have experience in that, because that's usually prone, or it has made a lot of these fiber projects successful as a result of that. So. All right, that's all I have.
Any other questions? Two requests. One, come up with an alternate option for the new middle school if this doesn't go through, how you're going to connect it, or what your plans are if we don't do this.
Okay.
And two, have these artifacts to the board by no later than Friday after the board packet comes up. I don't want them on Monday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So there was two different engineering costs based on We Energy's path and non-We Energy's path. So what you're telling me is that We Energy's, prior to having discussions with us, will want to see the engineering.
Yes, they will. We've had conversations with We Energies prior to putting these numbers together, just to make sure that what we're proposing is feasible from We Energies. And based on our experiences in the Oconomowoc School District, who did a similar build along the same path, coincidentally, they were able to negotiate a lease from We Energies. And I don't want to call it easy, because I don't want to make it sound like it's just there for them to do, because ultimately it's We Energy's decision. But in our conversations with them, they led us to believe that this is something they would strongly consider.
And when you say a lease, is there a cost attached to that lease?
There is. With the Oconomowoc School District, that cost was roughly $2.80 a foot. We're looking at about 20,000 feet. So included in that 1.4 million estimate for the We Energy's trail is the lease cost for We Energy's access.
Is that a one-time or annual?
It's a one-time fee, but it's for an IRU, and
What's that
I
mean?
apologize, irrefutable right of use.
Okay.
So you've got access to it. It's not technically an easement, but you have right of use for that. And within that right of use, it lasts for about 20 years, I believe it is.
So you engineer We Energy's path, and you present it to We Energies, and they decline, which could happen. Do we then pay another $96,000 for the re-engineering of a non-We Energy path route?
I don't want to say that we would default to that, but there would be a conversation to say, okay, if We Energy says no, what is our alternative route here, and then take a more detailed look at it. Again, these numbers are still rather high in the sky, or rather high level, looking down at the project from the map. Once we get out there and look at the streets, we may look at some of the better options that are available to us, and it may affect that number. It would be a change order negotiation. That's not to say that we would say, here's the difference, this is what we need to continue forward. Our efforts would continue forward regardless, because of the big picture that's involved here. We wouldn't stop our efforts for the sake of 10% of a cost increase due to We Energies coming back and saying, no, for whatever reason, we don't think that another utility within this corridor is beneficial. So that's my long-winded answer of saying yes and no.
Anything else? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on with discussion items 8D, Curriculum Planning Committee recommendations.
Christie is here to share the CPC.
So there are 3 documents attached there. The first one is a succinct and comprehensive view of the courses that were proposed to the Curriculum Planning Committee. The second is a repeat. You've seen the CAP brochure before for parents. Several of the courses being proposed are CAP classes. And again, those are classes that are dual enrollment options for students to take while they're in high school, yet receive college credit from Oshkosh. And then the third document there is each course, the specific paperwork that was completed by the educators when they applied for the course modification or the new course approval. So I'm going to be going into that first document and kind of walking through the succinct version. I'll begin with the new courses that were proposed. The first course is called CAP Military History, and this course was proposed by Jeff Bertrand, who's extremely passionate on the topic of military. He was approved by Oshkosh to teach this class, and it's a 3-credit, 1-semester class. So students in CAP Military History have the option of earning 3 college credits, which would appear on their official transcript and would come from Oshkosh. Those credits do cost $90 per credit, and what Oshkosh does for students who are who qualify for free and reduced is they reduce that tuition by 50%, which is one reason why we really like partnering with them and not another university like Whitewater, for example. Oshkosh has since told me they are about 80% sure that they are going to be waiving 100% of tuition for students who are free and reduced. So we're waiting to see that in writing, but we're really excited that they're so willing to negotiate. In terms of costs for this class, Jeff really has the materials that he needs and the knowledge that he needs, but he does need to attend an annual conference. The $100 is for travel expenses, not for any dollar amount that Oshkosh gets. He would receive curriculum development hours to put together the curriculum and write up his planning. He's requesting $70.16 in books, specific to the units that he'll be teaching, just so that he can re-educate and become more specifically expert in the topics. And then $300 for supplies, classroom supplies related to the curriculum. The second class that's on the list is CAP French 312. This would be equivalent to like a French 6. And one thing that's nice about the world language CAP classes is that if students take this course and they receive a B or better, they can actually retro Spanish 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And so they could leave high school with 21 credits in a world language. And because it is a CAP class, it does cost students $90 per credit. And CAP French 312 is a 5-credit year-long class. The World Language Department is fairly confident that they can repurpose their current textbooks. So they are requesting $580 for implementation of this course. And I should note that this course would not actually be implemented until the 18-19 school year. I'll get to why that is the case in a minute. And then they just need some money for the curriculum development and the CAP conference. Spanish, CAP Spanish 312, again equivalent to a Spanish 6. It's essentially the same course, only in Spanish. And the same thing would be true for students who earn a B or better in the course, that they could retro credit Spanish 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, leaving high school with 21 college credits. Again, the $90 fee per credit. It is a 5-credit year-long course.
Quick question on that. So they retro do they have to pay per credit they're retroing or just for the one class?
Just for the one class.
Okay, thank you.
The next one is CAP Chemistry. Originally, this was proposed to be taught concurrently with AP Chemistry because the curriculum is similar. However, after Mr. Berry took a look at the similarities and differences, he was not comfortable putting the two classes side by side in the same classroom. So he's proposing to teach this class separate from AP Chemistry, and it is a 10-credit year-long science class. Yeah, I think that's worth a pause. He still wants to keep offering AP Chemistry because, as we know, not all universities will accept college credits from Oshkosh. Some private schools prefer to have an AP score instead. And so we would want to keep that option open to students because if they're staying in-state versus going out-of-state, going private versus public, their situation may be different.
And not to overstate the obvious, $90 per credit for a 10-credit course.
Yes.
Huh, okay. I'm skeptical.
Wait, no, it says $90 per credit.
So it'd be
Right.
credit.
900,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm,
Yeah.
I think that one's a hard sell. Okay, I'll save some further
I mean,
comments.
we talked about that. I guess if you know you're going to a college athletics and you need 2 years, like Platteville.
How do you know?
Well, that's just it. I don't know. I think Platteville, we saw did accept this. So which, that's an
I
engineering
mean, you might
college.
want to go to Platteville.
Well, that's just it.
But
How do you know what the
how do you
team's
know?
doing? Yeah, right. So I guess if it worked out, it would
Right.
pan out because you could save yourself but I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But these, I mean, they're all that way. AP classes, they're all that way.
Right.
They're all like up in the air.
Except I'm not spending $900.
Right.
And not knowing. I'm just skeptical, but okay.
The UW system has a credit transfer online tool where you can say, I have credits from this institution and I'd like to go here, and it will tell you whether or not they transfer. In some cases, it's a full exchange. In other cases, they transfer as elective credits. So it's likely that if you know you're staying in the state, that you're going to get something for them, but they might count as elective. It really just depends on how the different universities value other curriculum.
$900 to register.
And they've gotten better over the years. I mean, when I was going to school, almost nothing transferred from one college to another. It was-
Oh, no, I transferred from Blackfield to Madison, almost everything did.
Well, maybe some of your core stuff,
It was
but
all-
when you get into,
Yeah, it's just all the basics, my freshman year, sophomore year.
Yeah.
I think I had one class that ended up being an elective instead.
So everybody's concerned about the student versus parent. And I didn't really look at it that way. My concern was your teacher for French 6 has a total enrollment of 4 students.
I was going to get to that.
Well, that's coming up. Figured up, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm
that was,
holding back.
that was my concern.
Yeah.
Or Mr. Berry has 45 students for AP Chemistry and 5 for the Oshkosh version. He really should be teaching 2 sections of AP Chemistry and none of the Oshkosh, but now we've committed to 30 kids in AP Chemistry, 5 in the Oshkosh program. What do the other 15 do?
Before we break this down, why don't we continue, just go
Yeah.
through the descriptions, and then we can,
Because we're pretty much getting through the Oshkosh stuff. at that
So
point.
this one goes into, if this goes through, it goes into effect when? The chemistry.
17-18 school year. The next class was proposed by our physical education and health teachers, and it's a class on lifeguarding, lifeguard training, CPR, and first aid. And what the committee really valued about this class is, well, living in Muskego and having the number of swimming and boating opportunities that we do here, we felt like not only was this a life skill, but it could actually be a summer opportunity or even a career path for students. And so we looked at it through college and career preparation, that this might be something that students could go into as a career or as a summer job, and it would support the community as well. The request is for $3,000 and $3,045, and the majority of that is for big items like adult mannequins and child mannequins, and then the spinal backcords. They are able to repurpose some of the materials that they currently have, because we do have some of these items in our pool area currently, but they would need this quantity to run the class. The next class is a transcripted credit class through WCTC. We actually currently offer 11 different transcripted credit classes through WCTC. And this is curriculum that WCTC, like Oshkosh, has partnered with us and many school districts on, and they guarantee transfer credit to their technical diploma programs through the coursework that students take here at Muskego High School. So the course that's being proposed is College Financial Accounting. And through our ACP work this spring and summer, we recognize that financial literacy is an area that we do have a gap in. And although we do have coursework for students in that area, we feel that this is a nice opportunity for students in addition to what we already offer. The cost for this is $10,402, and the bulk of that is really the textbooks. Because they're college textbooks, they're almost $200 a piece. The one piece that Stephanie Jansen, the teacher who proposed this, believes that she can do is there's a $60 per year per student online tool subscription that students would have to have. She believes that after kind of working with that tool for a year, she would be able to pull it into Excel and create her own. But she just doesn't have enough experience with what they call CNOW, which is this online tool. So that was one thing we wanted to point out, is that it would be a $60 fee per student per year. That would be a student fee that students would pay for. Transcripted college credits, there's no cost to the students, so unlike the CAP courses that are $90 per credit, these don't cost students anything. And the last new course is Professional Design and Publishing 2. We currently offer what we call PDP 1, and so this is just really an extension of that, and it provides students an opportunity to do design and publishing in real-world settings. The business department, specifically Peter Manson, the teacher for PDP 1, he's been partnering with some local businesses to give students real-life opportunities on, like, their number 10 on their list, things they know they may not get to, but they want somebody to work on for them. And so they've been getting really nice both career preparation, and many of these students want to go into design as a career, and that's their plan for college as well. He doesn't need any money to start this up. There's no coursework or textbooks. He just needs curriculum time to develop it. Then there are some program modifications. And so these will be courses that we already offer, but something's changing about them. And so the first one I'll talk about is we currently offer AP Spanish. We are requesting to modify that to be CAP Spanish 5. It would totally replace AP Spanish. And I want to be real clear about that. However, WVS does offer AP Spanish. So if there are students who absolutely know they want to go the AP route, they still have that opportunity. But if you look at the chart there for the enrollment trends, we've been noticing a big decrease in the number of students taking AP Spanish. And you might ask yourself, oh, there's only 2 kids in AP Spanish? Are we really running that with 2 kids? What the high school has been doing is putting Spanish 4 and Spanish 5 or AP together. And the teacher has been differentiating the curriculum in the same classroom in order to be fiscally responsible. But the reason why these trends are going down is because colleges will have all world language students take a placement test. And so they take an entrance exam, and where they place is the course that they get put into. And should they earn a B or better in the course that they get placed to in college, they can retro. It's the same deal that the CAP classes offer our students, except we're offering them in-house at a reduced rate.
So if somebody wanted to take it as an AP instead of a CAP, are they able to take the AP exam?
If they wanted to take it as AP, we would have them take it through Wisconsin Virtual Schools.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
But how would they be able to get assistance through the high school?
They have a WVS teacher. Through WVS,
In the high
they
school?
actually,
Or
yep,
just
they
through
actually have an
WVS?
online teacher.
Okay,
So
what
it's not
what
a
if they
self-
need a little more help rather than, Skype or whatever
Yeah.
tool they use?
So what we currently do, we have a number of students who are on AP German this year, and they're actually in the same classroom as the German students, and the German teacher is
Okay.
there as a mentor, but they do have a teacher through WVS that works with them. So it's not a self-pace. WVS is not a self-pace curriculum. It's an actual online curriculum back and forth with the teacher.
Okay. But we still have resources available at the high
Yeah.
school for them.
So the same request is being made for AP French to be converted into CAP French 5. So again, it would replace AP. We would still offer AP French as a WVS course, but we're seeing a similar decline in enrollment in our French classes for the same reason. I should also note, there's a number of electives in our world language department, and what students do to keep their language skills up is they'll take a class like Spanish in the workplace or French composition. They're still interacting with the language and keeping those skills up, only to prepare them to take that entrance test once they go to college. So they're kind of accomplishing it without having to take the rigorous AP exam at the end of the year. The next course modification is for a class that is currently a transcripted credit through WCTC. It's called TC Communications. Ironically, that course has the identical curriculum to CAP Communications. CAP Communications would be a year-long 6-credit course. So students could take the communications class as a transcripted class and get WCTC credit, or as a CAP class and get 6 credits of Oshkosh credit. They would have that option. If they took it as a transcripted credit, there's no credit fee, and if they took it as a CAP, it would be $90 per credit. The next one is AP Biology. So unlike the AP Chemistry and CAP Chemistry conversation we had a few minutes ago, AP Biology and CAP Biology is the same curriculum. So the same teacher could have a class of AP students and CAP students in the same room. The curriculum would still prepare students to take the AP exam. So there's no difference that way. But students who are in that classroom would have the choice if they wanted to take it as an AP class or as a CAP class. If they take it as an AP class, the only fee they pay is for the test at the end, which is about $90. If they take it as a CAP class, it's $90 a credit.
Can
The
I take
CAP,
it both ways?
what's that?
Can I take it both ways?
Yes, you could take it both ways. We're able to repurpose all of our materials because it is the same curriculum, and we're able to still offer it one or the other way depending on what the student need or desire is. And the last modification is for a class called Transcripted Credit Technical Drafting. This is one of our TC classes in affiliation with WCTC. It's currently a year-long class, and Karen Lindholm Rehnquist is looking to divide it up into 2 semesters. She received approval from WCTC to do this, and so all of the transcripted credit requirements are put into semester 1. And then semester 2, she elaborated on a few other technical drafting and 3D curriculum options that actually result in students earning certifications through Department of Workforce Development, which is a great career readiness opportunity for them. So we're taking something that was generally a year-long class, we're splitting it in half, and the big justification for doing this was really two reasons. One is she felt it was really hard for students to commit to an entire year. And so this gives flexibility for students who may want to take the first semester version, say their junior year, and then the second semester version their senior year, as opposed to having them all in 1 year. So it opens up student choice and student flexibility. And the other piece that was a big win for the CPC was that the Inventor and the Rivet certifications that will come out of the semester 2 class lead to students earning certifications in these areas that can be applied in the workforce.
Was this wasn't one of these a course options, one that that by having it we avoid people bolting over to tech school? I thought there was a conversation on that. I can't remember. There was some interest, I guess, and it does seem to be very popular.
The same thing would be true for all the CAP courses. So with youth options, if we offer the classes on site, they can't access youth options to take them someplace else. Youth options would be for opportunities that we don't offer. They could course options out for the same material, but you're capped at 2 classes per semester with course options. So. Okay, that's it. Sorry for the extensive list. It was a big one this year. Are there any questions?
I'd kind of like to go more on what Lisa Eric was saying. So part I don't understand, I guess I never thought of, where if you have a class, say a full class, or say you have enough, do we have enough staff, or would we ever deny students or refuse to fill an AP class in lieu of like a class that may only have 3 or 4 of the CAP classes? Because I'm thinking we'd want to give priority to the AP, or no? Or how does that work?
Well, we have currently, we have to make staffing decisions all the time around enrollment. So we wouldn't run a class at 5. But if...
Okay, you wouldn't. So if there were 5, so do we use UW Oshkosh's class guide? Is there a minimum number that has to be met based on UW Oshkosh, or can we set that ourselves?
We set that ourselves, yep. So we had this very conversation regarding the CAP chemistry and AP, and we don't really know which would be more desirable. There is that $900 price tag on the CAP chemistry, and we're not sure if people would be interested in that. So our thought is we'll offer both of them and see what enrollment looks like. If that's too pricey for students, then we just don't run CAP chemistry next year. But if we have a full house for CAP chemistry, we'll run it. Likewise with the AP chemistry, if we have a full load, we're running AP Chem. But if we have minimal students, we would offer them, well, there is this other opportunity, CAP chemistry. You can take it for credit or not for credit, and still have the access to the rigorous curriculum. But it doesn't cover all the material for the AP exam, so they could still take the AP exam. Anyone can take an AP exam, but they wouldn't have gone through the curriculum in time in order to have everything the AP covers. So we would have to just look at those as enrollment.
How does that work? So just having been through this with my son, I rat this poor guy out so bad. So he's in an AP class, and then he didn't want to take it. So then, we go to during the registration, we go to the guidance counselor, and Mrs. Subject did an awesome job, very professional, sat down, tried best as she could to get him to agree to it. But at that point, I could see that there's probably a lot of scheduling, and to just change and drop from an AP class was a pretty big deal. Mm-hmm. And so, is that a big deal to add these? Does that create any barrier for a student who's trying to take an AP class? Are they competing against resources for this chem or for the CAP classes now? I guess is the point. Is that ever possible, or?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
So if would someone ever be denied? Would you ever not run an AP class because of a CAP class. So if it came between resources, and you had a CAP class that was full, and you had an AP class that you could support, which would go?
So I think that's going to be done on a case-by-case basis. I think if I were the administrator in the building, my first question would be, can we put these kids in the CAP class, not have them pay for the credit, but be exposed to the curriculum?
The ones who are in
the AP.
okay.
And could we differentiate and modify the curriculum for those kids
Okay.
in this one-time instance? That would be my first question. If that's not possible to do, then we're looking at not running an AP for that year.
If enrollment doesn't support it.
Yeah, if the enrollment.
Otherwise, the
doesn't
kids are
support
going somewhere. I mean, if you have 2 full classrooms, right? I mean, they're going to go somewhere else and fill up somebody else's schedule.
So it's probably, we would work to do that, so we wouldn't deny someone, just be in. So I guess the thing I'm trying to get to is that, is it ever possible, because it appears these AP classes, you sign up and then you're really held to them, so that they don't want you dropping out of it. So, and then all of a sudden, a CAP class is full, well, we got to do the CAP class, let's cancel this AP class. Well, now, these juniors or seniors made these college-bound decisions to get this AP class, so I'm not saying you would do any of this, I'm just trying to work this through, that how would that work, because, that's a good point about resources and what would happen. I don't know. It's just, I don't even know if there's an answer. If you'd work through it, I guess that's all we need.
And we do. As Christy said, every year.
Yeah, I guess that was my biggest concern when I read through this, was the 2 that really concerned me were French 5, Spanish 5. AP is basically going away. So now, as a 5th course Spanish or French student, you have to now pay for those credits to get that level of rigor of AP. Because there is no more AP. So that's concerning. And then the second thing is the part about, would there ever be a situation, and I would hope there wouldn't be, where enough kids paid for the CAP, which would then not allow maybe a handful of kids or 10 kids that wanted the AP to not have a section. Because now we're turning into kind of a pay-for-class situation, you know what I'm saying? But that part is where Chris brought it up, but my bigger concern was dropping AP Spanish 5, or AP Spanish and AP French, and we're replacing it with a pay-for course.
But we still have the Wisconsin Virtual School.
Yeah.
So they have that option, and Christy just said, we would provide them, at least to some extent, the resources at the high school, so if they're struggling a little bit. In fact, would you say German, they were actually incorporated into the classroom so that they could have the exposure to language?
And they don't have to pay for the class. They don't have to pay for the credits if they don't want to. So they could take the Spanish 6 and really just go for what they're going for now, which is, I'm taking the placement test when I start college, and I'm going to retro it from that point of view. So they could take the course and never pay for the credit and still get the credit because they take a placement.
But what point do they have to pay for when they sign up? Do they have to say, well, I'm taking this for college credit? Or so they can't go through the course and say, I'm doing great in this, I want to.
You can't.
It's just like college.
But of course.
Oshkosh has a drop date. It's very close to current policies we have in place. It's like October 15th.
But that's only to get their money back for the credits. They can still stay in the classroom at our level if they want.
So they can get the experience, pay for it or not.
That's actually a good way of doing it if you're not sure where you're going. If you're going to Arizona.
Right, because you'll take a placement test wherever you go. This is just, it's actually, a CAP provides you with, if you're a good student and you know you're going to get a B in a class, you're going to be better off because you're not relying on just one test. It's performance throughout the year.
That's a transcript. It's on your, absolutely.
And the B in the class is just for the world language retro opportunity. They could have any grade in a class, and that's going to be communication that we'll have to make sure people know. If you get a D in the class, it's on your transcript. You'll pass, you'll get the credit, but it's a D on your transcript. But a lot of high schools are actually going away with offering the world language AP options because of the fact that students aren't interested in taking a rigorous class that results in one test at the end of the year when they can just keep up on their Spanish-speaking skills or their French-speaking skills through an elective class and then take a placement test.
So on this Spanish 5 and French 5, what's the purpose of replacing instead of doing it similar to chemistry where you're offering both?
AP biology is the one that.
Or biology?
Yeah. Well, if we don't offer the CAP Spanish 5, we cannot bring in CAP Spanish 6. So that class is a prerequisite for
Right.
the CAP Spanish 6.
So could you bring in the CAP 5 and keep AP?
And offer both of them?
Yeah.
We could, just looking at the current trend of, I think it was 2 students for AP, I think we would come to the decision that we wouldn't run that and we would offer that through WVS if those 2 kids really wanted to pursue that. So we're not taking the AP away. We have
Yeah, I know,
WVS to offer.
WVS, I think, I don't know, I guess when you're at that level, maybe it's not, but I'm not sure that it's the same experience for some students as having a classroom with a real teacher.
But that's happening in German right now, and they're in the classroom, and a German teacher is the leg, as they call it, at the high school, so.
And like Dr. Thompson said, a student can be in a CAP classroom without getting CAP credit. So if someone wanted to take any one of these courses but not pay Oshkosh for the credits, but they just wanted to be exposed to the rigor, they have that opportunity.
And in the end, they can take the AP exam if they want.
They can
don't
take the
have to
AP
be enrolled
exam.
in the AP class. They
Yeah.
could decide in May, you know what, my goal is to take that test, and they can.
So why don't we just continue
Yeah.
to...
We just wouldn't offer
if
the
you look at-
class, it wouldn't be part of the course description book of,
If you look at the
if
trend,
you want to
Eric,
transition, I suppose.
if you look at the trend, Eric, we should be dropping AP Spanish right now because there's only 2 students enrolled. We shouldn't be even offering it.
And again,
By that criteria.
yeah, and again, that's happening because kids don't need to take AP to keep their Spanish skills up. They need to take a Spanish class that keeps them practicing it, and they are taking those elective courses, and then they're taking a placement test and, working through the system. So students who are doing that can retro those credits, but only after they've completed a college class and gotten a B or better, at which they're paying full price tuition. So we're basically offering them that same opportunity that they would have done anyway, but in-house for fewer dollars.
Okay, switching gear on this a little bit, how many AP courses do we offer right now?
At last count, it was 26.
How many we're going to be offering if we implement all this?
We'll still offer WVS Spanish and
Real ones, the ones that are built in-house.
24.
24.
Brick and mortar, yeah.
So, does that affect us from a marketability standpoint? And, that's one of the things that everyone that rates high schools, that how many AP courses are taught there and all that.
How many tests are given?
Yep.
So from marketability, I think that our scope just becomes bigger. So we are college and career ready, and that's our vision, that's our focus. And how do we get kids to that? We have opportunities in AP, CAP, transcripted credits, dual enrollment, course options, youth apprenticeships, which are where students go and work.
And all that looks good on a brochure. I'm just saying, if we want to be able to tout anything else, recognition, blue ribbon schools, all that stuff they look at that gets more, marketability or mileage out of it.
But it wouldn't be necessary, like,
It might be taking us a step backwards.
with Newsweek and U.S. News and World Report, those recognitions are around AP, but it's not how many courses you offer. It's how many kids are taking the test. And so they're not helping.
Okay. No, that's good to
Yeah.
know.
Well, they are helping to some extent. What I can't really figure out here is if you offer the AP in French and Spanish, whether it's 1 or 20, and they're going to sit in the same class as the CAP people, offer it. Let them sit in the same class, let them take their test at the end, because that's probably going to help her daughter that's not going to go to a UW school that's going to transfer these. That it'll help her daughter get the 3 credits when she goes to Stanford.
Eric, are you talking about the world languages?
Yeah.
Okay, the curriculum is different. So the AP courses have more of a focus on culture, whereas the college is more grammar. So the kids could be in the classroom, but they wouldn't be exposed to the curriculum.
One's more usable and one's more theory.
Wouldn't they still be taking the placement test when they go to the university, whatever university that might be?
Yep. It's just different experiences, though.
Yeah.
Learning.
So on the CAP programs, presuming that, these go through, so the school year flies by, it's not even, it feels like halfway through and they're already registering, right, for next year. And that window of time is really short. And, at least my daughter had her whole 4 years planned out her freshman year. So how is this all going to get communicated well to both students and parents?
Well, first, we have to wait for approval.
Okay,
And then,
so let's say some of these happen.
Yep, so the high school student service department is already working on their communication plan. But they have first and foremost is the academic guidebook. We're going to be sending home information about what CAP is and what's coming, what courses will be offered in that area. And then there is a course information night in January where the counselors will speak to it, and then the departments have representatives that talk to different classes. Parents can walk through and get information, so they'll all be present for that. For these classes in particular, there are requirements for entrance. So we have to adhere to Oshkosh's application policies. So it's a 24 on the ACT or ranked in the top half or a teacher recommendation. So students will have to have met the criteria, which means that on the course registration form, that will be articulated. And there's going to be a lot of manual work on that, calling students in, talking with students. So that's the communication plan right now.
And I would hope that there would be maybe some links available to help parents figure out, like me, so where are those UW Oshkosh credits going to transfer to?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, there's that online tool where you can put things in and it generates that information for you.
Okay.
Any other questions or follow-up information needed, or we'd bring this back for action then on October 24th?
Out of curiosity, or just my own use, can you give me a syllabus of the publishing version 1? I saw that too. It's presented. I just want to know what they're doing in the first course.
I think he has it attached. If you click on the
He
third.
did the new one. Is the old one?
Oh, you want PDP 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see how it builds.
Okay.
How soon would the high school know the registration number? Like, again, assuming some of these go through, how quickly will they know a fair amount of the registration numbers?
By February.
Okay. I'd be very interested to have some numbers come back.
Okay.
Again, presuming that something happens at a later point. Okay, thanks.
So on these CAP courses, would we ever, to that point, that would be interesting, would we ever entertain doing this for a 1-year shot and looking at it and then having it brought back the following year? Or
Like pilot it?
no, it would be a bad idea, yeah, because
You're in the committee.
actually, well, they're all good, actually. I mean, the committee goes through a different process than, doing this here. And so, but, that would be interesting because there's some discussion here that, wouldn't happen on the committee. And I'd be interested too, what that numbers are. Because then I guess we would know, and then the following year, if there, at least it's a way to show if there's a conflict or if you're having issues or not. And it kind of forces you to bring it back. And then maybe we just look at it again and say, okay, what was our results the following year? I mean, would that be, I would entertain that because I'm curious now on, not as much on the dollar part, but on that part with the AP. Because we are heavily, that is an element of grading for high schools and how they rank and how, and, CAP is not, it's just a Wisconsin program, it's good, but it's just, I don't know how you correlate that, that's a district of choice element, but how do you correlate that into a ranking? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Because we don't have the option of adding that to a ranking. They would have to seek that out. I don't know. Just
Anything else? Thank you. Moving on to 8E policy revision.
Okay, so as you know, twice a year we have Neola supporting us. They send us recommended changes to policies that we already have. A few years ago we went through and moved all our policies through the Neola process. And so these are the recommended and those that we are recommending the board for consideration. And we do actually now, it's much easier to supply you with the changes. They have these track changes now, and so if you open up a board policy that has changes, you'll see a highlight in green, and it's bolded if it's new language, or it's highlighted in red, and there's a strike through for the language that is removed. So you have the opportunity to really see what, very clearly, what language we're recommending to be removed, and that we're requesting the board consider for us to add. So policies will then be brought back on October 24th for action, and then you have a third opportunity to see these policies on November 14th in consent agenda. So if there's any questions that you have about any specific, if there are, any spelling errors or grammar, you can just send that to us, and we can certainly take care of that before next time that you see them on October 24th. Otherwise, if you have questions about any of the changes, we are certainly available. And we did also attach Neola's rationale for the changes to the policies. That document is there as well.
So one request, I love the links. Makes it a lot easier. Can you put either a title or area that it's covering next to it? So, because I'm guessing that if we don't, we're going to go to things that
are of higher interest to them. Sure.
Right? Otherwise, you're going to have any interest in them. So.
Sure, absolutely.
The rationale, it was really helpful.
Good.
Yeah.
So we'll bring these back, and we'll have titles with them for the next meeting.
Moving on, is there anything else in this point before we move on? Hearing none? Okay. Moving on to 8F, administrative guideline revisions. Same thing, I'm assuming.
Yes. Same exact thing. Far fewer.
So we have that same lack of more input. So moving on to item 9, information follow-up.
Sorry.
If you're moving for information follow-up, could I have a second for information follow-up?
Sorry, those are.
Hearing none, could I have a motion to adjourn?
So
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned at 9:03.